Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that literally feels like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi blockbuster. We are exploring the absolutely mind-bending reality of emerging medical micro and nanorobotics. These microscopic marvels are fundamentally changing how we think about treating disease from the inside out, and the science behind them is just absolutely fascinating. So, let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with science fiction versus reality, then look at how nanorobots actually move, transforming medical treatment, the power of swarms, navigating the hidden risks, and finally, the future of medicine. We are going to completely demystify the science fiction today and reveal the clinical truth of how these machines actually operate.
To start, I want you to picture a scenario. Imagine you're treating a brain tumor. But instead of flooding the patient's entire body with a powerful, highly toxic drug, doctors just inject millions of microscopic carriers directly into the bloodstream. These tiny carriers travel through branching vessels. They literally adjust their own movement against the rushing flow of blood. They steer clear of healthy organs, and eventually they release a highly concentrated dose of medicine with pinpoint precision right at the tumor site. Sounds incredible, right?
Well, that brings us to Section 1, Science Fiction versus Reality. We need to separate the Hollywood myths from the clinical facts.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between what we imagine and what's actually being built in labs right now. When most of us hear nanorobot, we instantly picture a miniature submarine with a tiny little propeller, sensors, an onboard computer, and a battery. But the clinical reality? It's entirely different. Today's real medical robots do not have onboard computers or batteries. They just don't. Instead, they're crafted from magnetic particles, biodegradable polymers, or biohybrids. And they definitely don't have independent AI inside them. They rely entirely on external systems.
We also need to talk about scale, because the exact size of these machines is a huge deal. A true nanorobot is almost unfathomably small. We're talking tens to hundreds of nanometers, which is literally billionths of a meter. A microrobot, on the other hand, is a bit larger, measuring up to a millimeter. Why does this distinction matter for a patient? Well, a super tiny nanorobot can slip into the tiniest capillaries in your body without a problem, but it carries less medicine. A larger microrobot can carry a much heavier payload of drugs, but you risk getting it completely trapped inside a narrow blood vessel, which obviously makes it much harder to safely remove.
Ultimately, the whole reason engineers are building these is to solve a massive inefficiency in modern medicine. Think about ordinary drug delivery today. It's basically broadcasting. You swallow a pill or get an IV, and that drug just circulates everywhere. It hits healthy tissue, it causes systemic toxicity. Just think about the severe side effects of chemotherapy. The ultimate medical dream here is to shift away from that chaotic broadcasting and move to structured precision placement, concentrating the medicine only exactly where the disease is.
Moving right along to Section 2, how nanorobots actually move.
So you might be wondering, how on earth does a microscopic machine move around inside you if it doesn't even have a battery? The secret lies in what researchers call the air traffic controller model. Because the robot is way too small to carry its own computer, the actual brain of the operation fills an entire clinical room. A massive external artificial intelligence and magnetic navigation system acts as the controller. It observes the tiny platform from outside the body, predicts its route, and uses external magnetic fields to steer it. The intelligence does not live inside the robot at all. It's a continuous closed-loop AI control process. Think of it like a 5-step cycle. The external AI observes the robot on a medical scan, predicts the best path, sends a magnetic pulse to move it, measures how far it actually traveled, and then immediately corrects the course. Because, let's face it, the human body is incredibly unpredictable. Blood flow speeds up, tissues shift around, the patient is breathing, so the AI has to constantly recalculate the route, exactly like the GPS on your phone recalculating when you miss a turn.
But get this, magnets are not the only way to move. Engineers are actively fusing synthetic materials with living organisms to create biohybrid robots. And honestly, this is astonishing. Living systems already possess navigation abilities that human engineers totally struggle to reproduce. For example, certain bacteria naturally use their tail-like flagella to swim straight toward the low oxygen regions found inside tumors. Immune cells naturally migrate right toward inflammation. Algae can be used to propel drugs through lung fluid. Sperm cells are incredibly efficient, self-propelled microscopic swimmers. Nature has been perfecting that specific engine for millions of years. We even have DNA origami. These are microscopic structures programmed to naturally fold open and drop their drug payload only when they hit very specific biological triggers, like the high acidity of a cancer cell. No batteries required.
Okay, let's dive into this next part. Section 3. transforming medical treatment. Let's look at how this actually saves lives.
As you can see, different biological environments entirely dictate the robot's design and function. If you're targeting a deep tissue tumor, doctors might use those biohybrids or pH-responsive materials that trigger only in acidic cancer zones, that totally avoids systemic toxicity. For something like a dangerous blood clot, doctors could deploy magnetic swarms to concentrate a clot-dissolving drug locally, or even use tiny magnetic vibrations to physically, mechanically break up the blockage. And for stomach ulcers, a patient might just swallow a biodegradable capsule that literally uses their own stomach acid as fuel to propel itself around and gradually release drugs right onto the damaged tissue.
Which brings us to Section 4, the power of swarms.
You know, a single microscopic robot is pretty cool, but it honestly can't do much on its own. Just like in nature with insects or schools of fish, the real magic happens through collective behavior. A swarm of thousands or millions of these bots offers massive clinical advantages. They carry significantly more medicine. Working together, they create a much stronger, clearer signal for ultrasound or MRI imaging, so doctors can actually see them. They generate way greater collective mechanical force. And amazingly, they can dynamically adapt their shape to fit whatever weird, surrounding biological space they're navigating through. The external AI doesn't track millions of individuals. It controls the swarm as one singular, fluid system, maximizing the therapeutic impact.
All right, Section 5, navigating the hidden risks. We have to ground ourselves here in the experimental dangers.
I want to pose a provocative question to you all. Think about it. What happens after the mission is actually complete? A medical robot cannot simply remain floating around inside your body without a rock-solid exit plan. And this brilliantly illustrates the end-of-life scenarios engineers have to meticulously plan for. There are basically 4 options. Retrieval, where the bot is physically removed via catheter, natural elimination, where it just passes naturally through digestion or urine, biological degradation, where it safely dissolves into harmless components, or permanent implantation for long-term monitoring. And every single one of these has severe risks. If a biodegradable robot dissolves too early, well, your drug just dropped in the wrong organ. If a retrievable one gets stuck in a tiny capillary, you suddenly have a major medical problem on your hands. We have to impartially review these critical risks because a compromised swarm is not a broken consumer gadget. It is a severe medical emergency. First, unpredictable swarms could accidentally clump together and block a vital blood vessel. Second, your own immune system might recognize the robots as foreign invaders and attack them, causing massive inflammation. Third, the iron oxide used for magnetic steering could accumulate in your organs and cause cellular toxicity. And finally, cybersecurity. Think about this. A remote hacker breaching the external AI navigation system could literally hijack the swarm inside a patient's body.
Finally, Section 6, the future of medicine. How close are we to clinical reality?
Well, experimental large animal tests for magnetic platforms actually took place back in 2025, and single-cell targeting was achieved in 2026. But routine human treatment? That requires mastering an incredibly complex ecosystem. We need AI to digitally optimize the exact shapes and materials before anything is ever manufactured. We need patient-specific digital twins, which are basically exact 3D computer models of a patient's blood vessels to simulate the routes safely beforehand. We have to invent ways to rigorously manufacture millions of perfectly identical microscopic units. And from a legal standpoint, we desperately need to clarify liability when a treatment involves a drug, a microscopic robot, an AI, and an external navigation system all working at exactly the same time.
But if we can overcome those massive hurdles, we are looking at an absolute paradigm shift in human health. As the source material summarizes so chillingly and beautifully, the medicine itself may become a machine. We are rapidly moving toward a future where doctors don't just decide what drug to prescribe. They decide exactly where it travels, how it navigates, and the precise millisecond it activates inside you. It completely rewrites the equation of medicine. So as we stand right on the edge of this clinical revolution, I leave you with this. When the medicine itself becomes an intelligent, steerable machine, are we truly ready to hand over the steering wheel? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.